Harness CI has 4 times faster builds, sometimes even faster, meaning you get hours back in your life. If you're an engineering leader and you want to know what Harness is about, this video is for you. Stick with me for the next few minutes and we'll find out how. Test Intelligence runs only relevant tests in parallel, Cache Intelligence manages dependencies, and Build Intelligence only rebuilds what's changed, all on optimized build infrastructure. We're going to show you how Harness meets you where you are. No need to change processes. For example, many devs prefer to create their pipelines in YAML, then tweak it with the visual editor. We can run on any infrastructure and operating system you're using, backed by the fastest build times in the world. Click the link below for proof and a step-by-step guide to replicate the results. That's why companies like Curve chose Harness. They shrank build times by almost 90%, accelerating velocity while also improving their security posture. Let's take a look. This is an end-to-end Harness pipeline. I'll use it to show you the power of the platform. As mentioned earlier, you can author visually and as YAML. Many devs prefer YAML and we meet them where they are. Anything you do in the visual builder is reflected and saved as YAML behind the scenes, meaning no need to worry which is the source of truth. You can switch back and forth seamlessly, both individually and between teammates with different preferences. Let's dive into the build stage visually. So the first thing you notice is what I told you earlier. We can run on your infrastructure, your Kubernetes cluster, Docker images, even legacy VMs. Or if you're using our fastest in the world cloud environment, we got you covered. The other really cool advantage for Harness is, again, we meet you where you are. If you're building for Linux, Windows, or even Mac OS. In fact, a lot of customers love this. Many of them are coming from a bunch of Mac minis plugged in a closet somewhere. Very painful, right? When you click into the build here, you can see there's actually a lot happening in the execution of this pipeline. Let's start at the beginning. So there's many different ways you can launch this. You have the ability to manually kick off builds in the UI or run nightly builds on a set schedule, or what most of our customers do is configure triggers on an action taken in a repo like PR open, close, or edit, or some combination of triggers. It's very flexible. And they're extremely simple to set up, whether it's in GitHub, GitLab, or Harness itself. You can also configure for one click back to your source control repository. I'm often asked how Harness can reduce build times by 90%. As mentioned earlier, we're faster apples to apples. On average, we see 2 to 4 times faster builds right out of the box. But these right here are key advantages, our build and test intelligence. Beyond parallelizing your tests, our intelligent pipeline only rebuilds and tests what has changed. Sounds simple, right? It can actually create dramatic time savings, especially for large teams with large complex code bases. The analogy I like to give is, if you only changed your gas cap, you wouldn't want to go and rebuild and retest your windshield wipers, right? So let's take a look. So a quick background on test intelligence. Our test suite at Harness was about 40,000 tests, and before we created this, it would take us close to 30 minutes per build. And we were thinking, how can we get faster builds? We also want to get code to our customers faster, just like you. That's the genesis of test intelligence, and the heart of it is we only run the necessary tests for that specific build. If a dev changes one line of code, we don't run 30 minutes of tests anymore. Look at the test executions for this build. From a total of more than 37,000 tests, we only needed to run, in this case, about 1,500, because those tests were related to the specific code changes. The dev checks in the code, the build executes, Harness sees what code changed. We perform bytecode instrumentation. Look at this call graph. A developer changed this Java app, and we can see the dependencies related to that change. These were the tests that needed to run. Purple represents a test, the circles represent your classes and methods, blue circles mean something's changed compared to a previous execution, and gray was left unchanged. In this case, it cuts the build time by 28 minutes. You might think, well, that's not a lot, but extrapolate it out. Say each dev creates 4 builds a day. 28 minutes per build would be about 9 hours a week, or a whole day per week back to your dev. Multiply that by how many devs in your orgs, and we're talking about massive efficiency gains. But more than just the time saved, it's keeping them in flow state and giving them faster feedback on what they committed, allowing them to focus on fixing things quicker, delivering new features, and depleting that feature backlog. Yes, we're accelerating innovation velocity, we're driving efficiency, but it's also a much better experience for your devs. I'm often asked, what if test intelligence misses key tests? We architected it to err on the side of running more tests, not less. Hundreds of CI customers use it, and no one has reported bugs slipping out due to test intelligence. But the good news is, you can have all your tests run on your nightly builds, or perhaps when you promote between environments, enabling your devs to get that fast feedback on builds while ensuring all your tests are run periodically. But don't take our word for it. Victoria's Secret used Harness CI to launch their new loyalty program and mobile app. They reduced build times times by 80% and found savings in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, both from that increased efficiency as well as reduced infrastructure costs using Harness's cloud platform. So sign up for a free trial, see for yourself, or for more complex use cases, feel free to reach out to your favorite SE.